Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I want to mention today's program brought to you in part by some really great organizations, Robotaton.com, CAOOY.org, and richclub.org. Love all these groups. Love the great contributions they make to this program, and always delighted to talk about them here on the show. Going to talk a little bit about the importance of developing great relationships like we have with those businesses with Mike Schultz, and he's with a company called Rain Group, the Rain Group, and that's RAINGROUP.com. And Mike, you contributed to an article recently at priceofbusiness.com. We're delighted to have you on the program today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Kind of give us the elevator speech about Rain Group.
Oh, sure. Rain Group is a global sales, performance management, and training company. So essentially, we teach people how to sell. We've been in business here for a little over a decade. We were on Inc. Magazine's list of the fastest-growing companies in the country recently, and we have offices in Geneva and Sydney, Australia.
Very interesting. And tell me about the importance of relationship development in business.
Well, it's pretty interesting. I mean, relationship development in business has been popular, an old topic. I think about 1920s, how to win friends and influence people. The thing about relationships, however, is it's changed. It used to be about being buddy-buddy and having friendships. Like in Mad Men, you would be nice to each other, and you would take each other out to Sardi's and have dinner, and then you would do business.
Right.
They're equally important, but they don't happen the same way anymore. Now, recently, even just a couple of years ago, the Harvard Business Review wrote an article titled "Selling is Not About Relationships." So it's changed so much that some people are actually dismissing it, but they are dead wrong. They're essential.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the reality is that they're more important than ever because of, in my opinion, because of all the social media and all the technology out there, all the distractions. You better have a relationship if you really want to get noticed.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to cut through the noise, and people say, "Oh, geez, there's so much more information out there. What do people need salespeople for?" I mean, just to get information. Well, I get information from the internet, but the reality is with all the information out there, it's hard to sort through all of the different pieces. And as well, if you go back 20 years, there were some good books on business topics. There were some conferences, some research articles, and as well some magazines. A lot of them were pretty good. Now there's a lot of junk out there, and it's actually harder to figure out how to make decisions in important areas for your business, and that's where the seller comes in, helping you make the right choices.
Yeah, I noticed at your website, Rain Group, is that right, raingroup.com, that you deal a lot with the high-level executives and in the professional industries. Are those in particular ones that you really need to be able to develop a relationship in order to get traction?
Sure. Well, when you think about professional services, accounting, law, consulting, technology services, architecture, engineering, all of these kinds of businesses, everyone looks the same. They're all pretty articulate. They all look pretty good in a suit. But figuring out who you're going to work with, who you're going to collaborate with well, who's going to deserve your trust is a hard thing to find out. And when you can figure out not only who you like to be around, but who is the kind of person who has the interactions and the business rhythm, so to speak, that works for you, it's actually a lot less common than people think. As a matter of fact, a lot of the buyers that we talk to say that they have been burned so many times with service providers and technology providers, and as well been sold a bill of goods by people that sell industrial products that don't come true. A lot of it comes down to trust. Now, again, the relationships have been around for a while, and I don't mean just trust like, if I left my wallet on the table, they wouldn't take it, but real trust in people's competence and real trust in people's reliability, real trust in people's integrity. If you can find those kinds of people out there, they become essential to your business. And from the seller's perspective, if you can establish it, you can really have a successful sales career.
Yeah, and I tell you, I don't care what kind of colors you use in your website, what type of font you use in your website. Those are not enough to convey things like credibility, rapport, trust. Those require a human touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, a brand, and you're talking about colors and words and logos and things like that, a brand is really a collection of perceptions. It's just what I think about something. And you think about banking for a second. If you saw 50 billboards and ads on your computer and emails and television commercials for a particular bank, and then you happen to go into a branch and you had one service experience, what's going to make a stronger impression on you, 50 ads or one service experience?
Yeah, exactly.
It's invariably one service experience. So I think you have it dead on. And that's why the salesperson is so important. All this noise, all this stuff, all this information. I interact with you once, there's real power there.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, it's relationship, relationship, relationship. Those remain the three most important words in business. I think I've said that for years. And ironically, the more technology is involved, the more busy it becomes, the more eloquent the case for relationship. Tell me about the book.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, insight selling. So one of the things that we saw out there is that sales is really changing, and what used to work for selling isn't working as well as it had. And again, I mentioned that Harvard Business Review article, Selling is Not About Relationships. They also wrote one called The End of Solution Sales. Well, the prevailing thinking in selling was solution and consultative sales, and here you have the most credible journal in the world saying that age is done. So we did a research study where we studied, what's actually happening for sales wins. Because someone's winning out there. A lot of businesses are doing well, and if it's what used to work isn't working, well, what is? So we compared the winner of the sale to the seller that came in the closest second. We did this through the eyes of the buyer, and we found that sellers that won the sale, not only do they sell differently, they sell radically differently than the sellers that came in second place, and as well, across industries, all of these winners sell like each other. And that's what became the basis for the book, Insight Selling.
Very good. I love the book. I love the concept. I'm glad that there's people like you advocating the importance of relationship in the 21st century. I think now more than ever, we need it now, and I appreciate it. Mike Schultz, he is with the Rain Group. That's raingroup.com, RAINGROUP.com. Mike, thanks so much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me.
When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com, and you're listening to The Price of Business.